Good morning. I'm Landon with Merman & Press. Today, we're going to talk about 6 ways in, 12 ways out. It's a book written by, I'll tell you here in a second, stand by George W. Jasper. Copyright for 2000. This is the 2nd edition of the book. This book is purchased from the United States Rescue and Special Operations Group. This is not your typical survival SEER SAS manual that we have all read in the past. It's nothing like the Ranger Handbook. It's nothing like the Boy Scout Handbook even. This takes all the basic concepts that those books talk about and cranks it to 11. Absolute 11. The cover art is kind of the best art. This book is small enough for a cargo pocket. That's why it's so small. My only complaint about this book, and it is probably something you've noticed already, there is no spine. It has 2 holes punched in it, and it has a page keeper that has the bent sides in the back with the keeper on it. I'm not sure the purpose behind that. I'm sure it's for a class that the military puts on. They say, hey, take this section of the book with you today. Or they say, hey, you're not going to need that page, that page, that page, that page. And it's probably so you can make it your own. You can put the sections of the book where you want them, where you need them. You can write on pages, take them out if you don't want them. You can make this book what you want. You can get it spiral bound. Go to Staples, get it spiral bound if that's what you want. I think that's what's going to end up with mine. Another peculiar thing about this book is how you acquire it. You have to go to the US RSOG.gov, find the address where it talks about the book, and you send a $20 bill, or not a $20 bill, a check for $20 or a money order to that address, and they send it to you. I got it in about, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I waited a little bit of time for it, but it was worth it. I bought 2 books. I bought one for Pops, my dad, and me. So me and him both read around the same speed, and we've been talking about it. I've had this book for a month or 2 now, and I've flipped through it multiple times. I've read it, sat down and read it twice. So it's a very good book. It is absolutely loaded with pictures. The typeface of the text is really easy to read. It's very simply written. It's written for idiots like me. Lots of pictures and lots of little words. So why is this book different? What makes it different? Why can't I go buy the military manual for SEER, for survival? Well, this book is not just going to tell you how to make fire. It's going to tell you how to make the fire for the environment you're in. Also, it's going to tell you if you need a non-permissive environment or not. It's going to give you the difference between this fire and that fire. If you're in a tropical setting, this kind of fire works best. If you're in a taiga or a frozen tundra, this is the kind of fuel you can find readily available to burn for a fire. It gets into depth like that. It doesn't just say, hey, make a fire. It tells you how to make a fire and where you can find the stuff. It gives you a bunch of different, how to make a bow drill. I mean, we've all seen those, but it goes into other things besides bow drills and using a flare and all kinds of things. It even talks about the pitfalls of making fire. Shelter making. When it talks about making shelters, it goes by environment, you know, tropical, swamp, frozen area, wet climate. It goes into that, and it tells you just how to make the best thing. It doesn't tell you 6 ways to do it. It tells you the way you probably should try it. It cuts out all the BS. The main section of this book is taken up by trapping. Now, I've done a little bit of trapping in my life. Nothing big, nothing crazy. Just using some dog-proof traps, hunting raccoons. That's it. And I wasn't super successful. But this goes into rabbit snares, squirrel snares, you name it, deadfalls, even dropping trees on things. There's an illustration of a guy with wearing reeds around his head and pulling a duck underwater while he's in the water about neck deep. It's a trap, right? But he puts a lot of emphasis on trapping because he knows that's how a lot of people will end up surviving whatever ordeal they're in, right? Not just the trapping, how to dispatch the animal without a firearm, how to, you know, you can learn how to skin any animal on YouTube. You can also learn how to skin basically a rabbit or a deer in a survival manual. This goes into bear, elk, you name it. It talks about the finer points and the pitfalls of any of those things you may encounter. But big on trapping, how to set them, how to make a good set, how to make a funnel that an animal's not going to be afraid of to go through and actually go into your snare to make you more successful. Tells you how many snares to buy and where to buy them. You know how many books I've wondered, like, where the hell do I even buy that? This book tells you. It tells you brand names of whatever. Now listen, this book, the copyright for it is in 2000, so some of this gear is outdated, like the backpacks it talks about in here. But you can find something similar. Typically, these companies are still around. This is a very fresh book as far as gear goes and the concept at which we operate. So buying, 10 rabbit snares, he's going to tell you, well, this is how you deploy them. So trapping aside, this book is this much fire building and shelter building. It is this much trapping, and it is this much gear concept. It doesn't tell you what's best to use. It tells you the size of pack you need and what kind of stuff you need to put in it. It has brand names. It shows you. It has very basic illustrations of things. But it goes into pretty much a gear concept of what we have now. Level 0 through 4, I think, is what he goes through in the book. He even talks about what he wants on a knife sheath. People don't think about a knife sheath just holds the knife. In this book, your knife sheath holds extra fire making equipment, fishing equipment, another knife, smaller blade typically. And a lot of people have gone off this concept of this, which when you get in on YouTube, I found one guy making a video series about this book. He goes through it and says, hey, I found this in the book today. And it's 7 or 8 years old. I found this book because someone wrote in a comment to me that I should check it out, and I did, and I have not regretted it at all. I suggest it's worth 20 bucks. Send a $20 money order, get it in the mail, it'll be like Christmas, okay? So, get this book, check it out, and don't be afraid to ask me questions about it. I have the book. It's 2022, I can answer some questions now. All right? So, 6 ways in, 12 ways out. I'd probably give it 100 out of 10, so pick it up. Think about what's killing you today. Hug your families.